Today's episode of One Shining Podcast is brought to you by The Ringer's YouTube channel. We, meaning TheRinger.com, has stepped up our game in 2017 with weekly videos like Cousin Sal's Best Bet, Slow News Day with Kevin Clark, NBA Desktop with Jason Concepcion, No Bull with Mike Lombardi, Table Reads with a slew of NBA players, Director's Commentary, and Captain Morgan's Make Believe Casino, as well as our video podcast, just like One Shining Podcast, even though you only see clips of that because we can't pull out the full thing. It's just too much for the viewers. And mini movies like Take Hunter, Ringer 360, and Claytheism. Coming in 2018, a weekly video mailbag from Bill Simmons. Mallory Out of a Hat, not really sure what that is, Mark Titus, and a slew of other new digital shows. You don't want to miss anything. Just go to theringer.com/videos, or even better, go and subscribe to the channel at youtube.com/theringer. Any video ideas you're putting out there for the world?
No.
I think...
He takes the timeout. They're out of timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul.
It is 4:47, Monday, December 18th, here in Los Angeles, California. The last podcast I will be doing from Los Angeles for a little while. I'm excited to go back home. Christmas week is almost here, Tate.
I know you're excited.
My name is Mark Titus. Sitting across from me is Tate Frazier. Producer Kyle over there doing producer Kyle things.
Classic Kyle things.
I want to say this to start off the show, Tate. I was at Tate's house watching Carolina game on Sunday. And as we were watching the game, I was chewing on some gum, and I bit my lip as I was chewing. And then I wasn't really sure where your trash can was, so instead of spitting my gum out, I kept chewing, and I bit my lip again, and it just kept happening over and over. And I say that to say I'm kind of playing with the sprained ankle. I mean, like having like a little fat lip as you're podcasting is the equivalent, I think, of like playing with a bum ankle. So,
but this is you're putting the blame on me. This is like a classic coach thing. Where you're like throwing me under the bus. Like it's not his fault, even though that he was there and he didn't tell me where the trash can was.
It's a classic move. You bite your lip. A smart man says, "I just bit my lip. Time to throw out the gum and quit while I'm sort of ahead." But I had a little too much hubris. I was like, "No, I bit my lip. I'll be fine." And then it just keeps, you bite it again, then it gets bigger, then you bite it again. I'm struggling, dude. It's been rough. This is like...
I thought this was like a euphemism for you to say that you were biting your lip because you were so sad you had to watch this Carolina game with me, but no.
That's it. I'm letting the people know that I'm playing through pain today. I'm a warrior. I'm a champion. Biting my lip as I'm chewing gum is not going to keep me out of the game.
Very old Big East of you to do.
So we're back. We took Friday off. So we are back, though. We went on Saturday. We want to start the show off with this. Tate and I did our first joint press credentialed game together. Is that true? I think it's true, right?
It's definitely true.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone to NBA games, but we haven't been to a college game. Because we were once upon a time last year, our teed up days. We were
I love that show. I remember that show.
The braggadocio that we had at the time was, we're going to go to NBA games because we can. And now we've been humbled. We're back to One Shining Podcast, and we went to the Mecca. We went to the home of John Wooden, the original Bagman, and one of the greatest of all time. Really, I would say the greatest of the 20th century.
We want to start the show off with this because I know there's a ton that happened in the last week. We have to cover basically everything that happened because we didn't do a show Friday, but we wanted to start with this because we had a lot of thoughts on UCLA and just basically what they got going on at Pauley Pavilion. This was our first assignment as journalists. We were tasked with going
Capital
there.
J.
We were going to UCLA. We were going to get the lay of the land, figure out what the hell's going on over there. And that's what we did. And I got to say, I'm going to start. Unbelievable facility. I was told not to expect much about Pauley Pavilion. I was told the fans are terrible. I was told the atmosphere sucks. I was told it's basically just like the only reason it's relevant is because
they won 11 titles.
They won 11 titles.
Once upon a time.
John Wooden taught his players how to put on his socks there. Sam Gilbert was dropping bags around the corner. Like these were the reasons you're supposed to care.
Lou Alcindor became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I gotta say, honestly, that's a pretty kick-ass arena. And maybe like the people that were shitting on it saw it before the renovations because it was pretty clearly had been renovated. I really liked the arena. The fans, UCLA fans probably deserve the reputation they have. Although to be fair, the students were not there. It was a student break.
Just the band.
But yeah, I mean the fans were, I don't know. It was they had better things to do, but the facility itself, unbelievable. The campus was unbelievable. We had a fantastic time. Cincinnati blew UCLA out. What are your thoughts, Tate?
We kicked it off right. We went in, we drove into Brentwood, a beautiful area, just a great place. If you have never been to Brentwood or Westwood, you should go check it out. It's very nice. No wonder LeBron James wants to live in that area.
Ooh.
We go to Chick-fil-A.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's an aside.
Are we the first? Are we breaking this?
I think we should
tell other people at the Ringer that LeBron to LA might be a thing.
Could be.
They would love that.
Maybe they could get 2 more max players.
I bet if we told the people at the Ringer, they might write an article and talk about it on podcasts and stuff if they said LeBron might go to LA. But go ahead.
Possibly. We get Chick-fil-A together. It was great. We had this great experience. We go get Chick-fil-A, and you're thinking to yourself, most of these games, what's the number one problem? Parking. No. You go to UCLA, you take a left, you pull in, you pay for your spot, you go in, you put your card in.
Tate was won over
easy.
Tate was won over immediately because any campus, he actually said these words, any campus that has Chick-fil-A there, I'm in. I'm already in on this school. And then, yeah, parking. Those are the 2 things that like are big to you. I'm a bathroom guy. I made that clear about when I was talking about Mackey Arena.
Uh-huh.
I like the bathrooms. You like Chick-fil-A's on campus, and you like easy parking. They have both. We loved UCLA's campus.
And then as we walk into the arena, you walk by this beautiful practice facility with the UCLA football team. We're talking to ourselves like, who plays football out in California? What's the point? I mean, but this field looks so immaculate. Then we realized that Chip Kelly just got hired. We're like, my God, Chip Kelly's going to drop a lot of bags for this football program. They're going to be relevant. They're going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We walk up to the media line. We see Kenyon Martin, great Cincinnati fan, a guy that still loves his program. He's there. We see Colin Coward, another media journalist, Capital J member, and they're also talking about the UCLA football program. So we feel like we're in the mix. We're in
there. Yeah, we're rubbing elbows with some high
big
rollers.
hitters, And people are coming up to us to say, "Are you One Shining Pod guys?" We're like, "No, we're not those guys. We kind of look like them." Just kidding. No one did that, but it was good. We got in there. We watched this game. Cincinnati fans, we should say, as much as we're talking bad about the UCLA fans, the Cincinnati fans, they're doing their chance.
Here's
they're
the problem.
Locked in together. It was great.
Here's the problem. Cincinnati does this thing where Cincinnati calls themselves UC, and they do the thing where like, they like do this like Dante Culpepper, get your roll on thing, and then they go UC. But UCLA's fans also do like the UC LA. So you hear the UC and you're like, oh damn, the crowd is loud.
Mm-hmm.
They're into it.
Mm-hmm.
But then the LA never comes, and then you think, oh, these are the Cincinnati fans. And that was part of the problem is maybe if they're playing Long Beach State or something and there's like no other opposing fans in there, I don't care as much. But when you're in your home arena and you're playing a team from 3,000 miles away and they're like their fan base is making more noise than your fan base, that's a problem, Tate.
And you didn't go back at them, too, because when they're doing the UC thing, eventually it should annoy you enough where you're like, you just add the LA on the end, so you're basically co-opting their chant.
Right.
But no one even did that.
No one did anything. It was, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's just too much to do out here. I told you this when I got out here, that I just don't get the feeling people care about sports out here. This is not a sports place. This is
It's for show. It's not for sport.
As I've had this conversation with like 1,000 people since I've quote unquote moved out here in the last 2 months. This is a town where you can surf and you can snow ski in the same day. And then people tell me that, and then I'm like, oh yeah, really? How many times have you done either one of those? They're like, oh well. The thing about that
the thing is, I could.
I could though. You couldn't do that in Ohio. I was like, yeah, because I wouldn't want to, just like you don't want to. So who gives a shit? But yeah, UCLA fan. I don't know. We love it. We love it though. We love the arena is what I'm saying. Like they had Chick-fil-A in the arena. They had Tate turns to me. He's like, I'm ready to commit.
Yeah, if I'm Jalen Hands, if I'm Chris Wilkes, I mean, if I go to UCLA and I visit, guess what? I'm going there.
So the game itself, Cincinnati. Tate's not really a believer in Cincinnati, and I'm going to say I'm not. Here's my problem with Cincinnati.
I'm sorry, Mick
First
Cronin,
of all,
please do not come after me.
Cincinnati like kind of dominated the game. They forced a ton of turnovers.
18.
They looked very good in a sense. The problem that I have with Cincinnati is that this Cincinnati team was supposed to be different. They were supposed to be the chosen one. They were supposed to be the offensive-minded Cincinnati team versus the rock fight Cincinnati team of the past, which is like basically you just get a bunch of athletes, you get a bunch of strong men, they push everyone around, they foul the shit out of everybody, the refs don't call them all, and then you win games just like you win every single game ugly. That was the Cincinnati that I've known and loved for years. But there's an obvious ceiling to that, to playing that kind of way. This year's Cincinnati team was supposed to be like more of an actual basketball team.
It's usually like 75 points.
Right. This Cincinnati team was supposed to be more of an actual basketball team, and they were supposed to have skills and shooters and drive and kick, and they are better. But I got to say, like, by the way, there's statistically, you look up the stats. I think they shot like 47%. They didn't have a ton of like the stats say good job. But some of those dudes, you watch them shoot jump shots, and it's like, oh my God, who taught? Like, I would rather watch Chris Wilkes miss jump shots than some of those guys on Cincinnati make jump shots.
The best thing about it, we're at this game live. We're getting tweets. Some guy tweeted us like, "Does Cincinnati look as good in person as they do on TV?" And I'm thinking to myself, I wish I was watching them on TV because they do not look good in person.
They don't look good, but that's so the caveat to that is that's Cincinnati basketball. Is you don't look good. You just like. The reason they blew UCLA out is because they did go back to like we're men playing boys. We're going to punk the shit out of you. And they forced a ton of turnovers. UCLA's kind of young. They weren't ready for it. Thomas Welsh was not good at all.
Thomas Welsh, we learned this in the game. He can only take a 15-foot shot. So if he's 13 feet, it's going to be long. If he's 17 feet, he's going to hit the front of the rim. It's only 15 feet, and when he gets pushed off his mark, it's not good.
But Cincinnati was good. Like, this was, in all seriousness, this was I kind of expected a close game. They played really well. Kyle Washington, he had a good game, 19 points. Gary Clark was doing Gary Clark things.
Kyle Washington.
Double-double.
Do you remember Milton Jennings that played at Clemson?
Mm-mm.
He literally plays and looks exactly like Milton Jennings, and so much so that I question whether Milton Jennings was actually named Milton Jennings, and he had transferred from Clemson to Cincinnati, and I had to look this whole thing up. So anyone that knows anything about Milton Jennings,
did you find out? Did he or no?
No, he did not. This is a totally different person. But if you want to watch Milton Jennings highlights and then look at Kyle Washington, they are the same person.
You had me on pins and needles. I was wondering. I was wondering what the
just putting
conclusion.
player comps that make no sense out there to the world.
Yes, UCLA. I caught a T-shirt, by the way.
Tate, that was a big thing.
We should give a shout out. UCLA, the greatest T-shirt toss in the history of the game.
It was a great T-shirt.
They threw me an Under Armour. It just said UCLA. It said UCLA in the script letters or whatever. It had no sponsor on it. I thought I was going to catch it. It would be like a cotton, like double X cotton shirt that said Geico can save you 15%.
Or Kaiser Permanente.
Kaiser Permanente is a proud sponsor of UCLA. It didn't say that. It just said UCLA. It was a nice little
and you couldn't even find it in the gift shop.
Couldn't find it.
So it's like an actual prize to catch this T-shirt.
It was like a $40 shirt they just threw out, and it was in my size. And Tate was very jealous, but it was easy to catch because like none of the all the fans were looking at their phones.
We're talking about teamwork, and so they throw one up there. Titus jumps up, makes his left-handed grab in front of me. I'm shocked. I'm like, what a play! What an athletic play! And then I'm like flustered by the whole situation. I'm like, that should have been my shirt. Why did I have my head in my phone? And then they throw another one right where we are. Titus sits down. He's looking at his shirt. He's putting it up to his face. He's like rubbing his face in it about how dry fit it feels. And then they throw another one. He could have easily just gone over to one to his right, catch another one, give it to his teammate. We both have shirts and be bragging about it. But instead,
it was bad.
he just lets it go to the guy behind. And not only that, the shirt fell underneath the seat next to him. The guy behind us is like, "Can you pick that up and give it to me?" He should have just picked it up and be like, "Here you go, Tate."
It did.
He just gives it back to the other guy who did not earn the T-shirt.
The second shirt, I had a better shot at catching than the first one. The first one took like a tough catch. The second one came right at me. I just let it go, and that was yours.
It hurt my feelings.
That was pretty bad. I just didn't want to be the guy that was catching two shirts. I mean, that's
just give it to me.
Then people are asking for my autographs. They're like, you're the guy that caught the two shirts. Like, you're obviously you got the guy, the foul ball guy, the Zach Hampel, who's at the MLB games. He's catching foul balls. Like, I don't know if I want to be hit. You get it's a whole thing, man. I just want to catch my one.
Let's
shirt.
be honest. It was Star Wars Day. They're not going to put you on the Jumbotron because they got Darth Vader up there. It would have been fine.
So, yeah, UCLA cheerleaders dropping the bag, just dropping it right to me. They're fans of the pod. They're trying to throw them both. They spotted us. They threw two to us.
They could see your Cubs hat.
And
holy hell, that's Mark Titus.
Speaking of dropping the bag, let's transition to good guy, bad guy of the week. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves it. We don't need to explain the concept, but we do need to build it up a little bit. Just say this is America's favorite podcast
pastime.
Segment. Yep. Good guy, bad guy. Do you want to start or should I start?
I'll start.
Okay, go ahead.
First up, good guy of the week for me is Mr. Patrick Ewing, folks.
What?
Shockingly so. We know that Pat Ewing has had this amazing run. He has been undefeated this entire time.
Hold on. I'm going to stop you right here. Patrick Ewing, they lost in overtime, Tate.
Yes.
So if this was like soccer or hockey or whatever, you would say he's still undefeated. Technically,
in regulation, he is still undefeated.
He's never lost a game in regulation.
Yes.
How many coaches in all of college basketball can say that? Not
too many. But one of them, Mr. Pat Ewing, had something to hold on to. And you know what it is? The old Big East. When Syracuse left the Big East in 2012-2013, They had something on their shoulder because they basically were part of the brass, and they left the brass to go for greener pastures, and they had to hold this ship over their shoulder. They had lost to Georgetown 3 straight times. The only thing that the old Big East had was Syracuse isn't going to beat our guys anymore. They're going to have to feel bad when they play us. They're going to have this little bit of guilt when they go in and play us. And Pat Ewing, all he had to do was keep that rolling and keep that going. He's up 53-40, 9 minutes left in the game. Things are going well. Jesse Govan's doing well. Georgetown looks like a real legitimate team. Syracuse is struggling. And guess what happens? They let them come back.
Yep.
They go to overtime. Tyus Battle hits some big threes in overtime, and Pat Ewing becomes my good guy of the week. Come on. Do it for the old Big East, Pat.
Again, he's undefeated, technically. I'm calling it undefeated. Mind. Yeah, so a little premature on the good guy.
I'm saying he let it all down. He let everyone in the Big East down.
Is this your move like you did with Mike White, where you get it feels very premature, but then come to find out it wasn't premature at all? Is that what you're doing here?
This is the first domino
in
the full good guy train.
Yeah, you're saying the team that's played the worst schedule in the history of college basketball is actually not as good as their undefeated record suggested.
And let's be honest, some people have also hinted at
that. So Jim Boeheim in the post-game press conference gets asked about the old Big East, naturally. Hard not to. And he said something like, no, like he did the thing that we were talking about Bob Huggins did, where he like everyone's like, "Hey, coach," kind of got those old Big East vibes, didn't it? And they're like, "Bullshit, it did. This is not the old Big East, not even close." And he said, "It sort of felt like it, but a lot less blood out there." that was the Boeheim quote, something like that.
Yeah, they said there was no blood spattered on the floor.
Yeah. Because as we know, in the old Big East, as Jim Calhoun has said many times, they had a great thing going in the old Big East, and then they accidentally went and got civilized and just ruined it. They had to ruin everything because,
do they not think that we don't have video of the old Big East? Like, we can't go back and fact check these guys? I don't understand. We can watch.
They hated each other. You're too young to know this. You're a millennial. As a 30-year-old, let me explain to you.
I've never heard anything like it. These guys. There's video evidence.
It hurts my heart that you're turning on Patrick Ewing. That makes me feel like.
Let's be honest. I have said, I started last year. I said Pat Ewing had one calendar year that he would be at Georgetown, and then I pulled back because of this great start.
So you're saying all the Patrick Ewing love you've had this year, are you saying that was shtick and you're like being sarcastic with your love?
Well,
I was genuine.
I'm basically the Michael Jordan to Patrick Ewing in this situation where like I'm your friend, but I'm not really your friend. You know what I mean? Like it's funny to me when things go awry for you.
You're mocking
but I still
him
have
to
your
face.
back. Yeah, exactly.
The friend you have that you mock to his face, and
exactly.
he doesn't even realize it. He's still oblivious. That's
You're
what
Butters.
That's what
he's Butters.
He's producer
me.
Kyle.
Yeah,
that's what we do with producer Kyle.
Classic Kyle.
So my good guy. We had some candidates. I decided I had to go with Mike Bray. He's lost, and he's a great good guy, by the way.
Because we should say he actually is a good guy.
He's a good guy, and everybody loves him.
He looks like a bad guy, but he's a good guy.
Media darling, wearing the T-shirts in Maui, wearing the shorts. He's Mike Bray doing Mike Bray things.
The guy to give Matt Farrell a walk-on a chance to be a star in his program, that's a good guy move.
Always puts an exciting product out there. Always loves offense. Media people love that. They love when you have a good offensive team. Not that there's an example of that out there in the country right now. I wouldn't necessarily say Tate, but it does feel like every year there's a team that plays great offense and people get really excited about. And Mike Bray consistently puts out great offenses, so media loves him. But he has lost 3 of 5, just lost to Indiana. Now, Tate and I were at UCLA again. I didn't get a chance to see the Indiana game. I saw the end of it. I saw how it all went down at the end. I saw Juwan Morgan had 34 and 11, I want to say.
I think if you just stared at Steve Alford on the bench, you could actually watch the Indiana game as it was happening, but I'm not sure.
We went to the UCLA press conference, and I was really, I wouldn't say close because that's not true, but I thought about a world where I asked Steve Alford about Indiana. Like I was staring at him.
We were right there.
I was staring at him. I just want to raise my hand and be like, "Coach, you hear about the Hoosiers pulling off the win against Notre Dame? What are your thoughts?"
Also, you had Chris Wilkes up there, who you're in love with, another Indianapolis guy, and I could tell that you were just itching to ask him about Indiana basketball. I'm glad you didn't.
Indiana, Mr. Basketball.
Steve Alford's entire extended family was at the press conference. I've never seen anything like it. They're all sitting where the press people usually are. They were in the back row with us. It was like Steve Alford's wife, his dad.
Hold on. Alford was like actually really excited after this game. Not excited, but he had like good vibes going. Like
he was basically like, I love our young team and I think we're going to get better because guess what? They are going to get better. Hands is good. Wilkes is good. Welsh will leave. And that
Come on now, Welsh.
And things will get better.
Welsh is a sweetheart. He was fun on those. He's
the ultimate good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's the ultimate good guy. Because like on the team last year, Welsh was like he was like the 6th best player, and he just sits in the corner and hits those 15-foot baseline. You're like, I love this dude. And then now they're kind of asking him to do stuff, and it's like, We're talking a lot about UCLA, but it was a fun press conference. I don't know. It was a fun time.
It was great.
So back to the original point about Indiana. Or I was talking about Mike Bray. Mike Bray has now lost 3 of 5. He's 0-2 against teams in Indiana.
Yes.
Because one of those 3 losing 3 of 5 losses was Ball State at home. I think we mentioned this on a previous pod.
Yes, I think that was last Monday.
But he lost to Indiana. He's now 0-2 against the Big Ten. The Big Ten is terrible as well. Although one of those was Michigan State. That's like the one good team. But so we didn't watch the game, but what I did see was the Kim Pom. I don't know if you saw this, the Kim Pom win probability chart.
Yeah.
And basically Notre Dame's like hovering between like 80% and 100% the entire game, which is to say that at like basically any point in this game, you could have paused the game and said Notre Dame has a 95% chance of winning this, all the way up until like the very, very end. And then IU comes back, ties it, sends it to overtime. And then Colson almost hits the half quarter.
And so we heard this, like someone, I think either my dad, someone texted me and was like, hey, Bonzie Colson almost made a shot to win this game. And in my head, I'm thinking it's a Gordon Hayward almost wins a shot, but it's like it had real no chance. It hit the backboard super hard.
Hold on, Gordon Hayward had a chance now.
It hit the backboard pretty hard. It didn't. But Bonzie Colson's was.
I'm surprised. Let me stop you there. I'm surprised you're not on the like. The Gordon Hayward shot should have gone in, and Duke's title should not have counted.
Oh well, it should have gone in. But make the shot. Like I mean, I'm not gonna cape for you. Make the shot. If he had made the shot, I'd have a lot of different things. First of all, I'd like Brad Stevens a whole lot more. I'd like Gordon Hayward a whole lot more. But guess what?
But you're acting like the shot didn't go in. I'm trying to give you a tip here, Tate. What you do is you say Duke was like 4 inches away from that title not happening. So like you discredit that title. That's how you do it. Is you're like the 2010, like I could do with you, where I say the 57 Carolina title doesn't count because Jim Brown couldn't play because of racism at Syracuse. They would have beat Carolina. And they screwed Wilt Chamberlain in the title game. The Georgetown title doesn't count in 82 because the guy threw it to the wrong guy. The Chris Webber title doesn't count because he
traveled.
You see what I'm doing here?
No, every single one of them has an answer.
The 05 title doesn't count because you screwed James Augustine. Sean May was getting all the foul calls, and then the 2016 title doesn't count.
He's a great player
because you screwed Zach Collins. See what I did there? Try that with the Hayward shot.
It hit the backboard, and Bonzie Colson throws this beautiful shot up. Is a perfect arcing shot. It goes all the way in and out, circles all the way around the cylinder, and pops out. So I was just saying, Bonzie Colson. When I hear things like that, like a half-court shot almost went in, you never think it would look as pretty as it did.
Yeah,
and I think it should have gone in.
I'm
sorry,
awesome.
Bonzie.
The Crossroads Classic. Do you care as a guy who's not from Indiana?
No.
You don't care about the event?
No.
What?
I love the idea.
Is this an affront to me?
No. I love the idea of it, but I just feel like they haven't covered it the right way.
You're not wrong about that.
Yeah, I feel like they should be. I mean, let's think about those 4 teams. Those are 4 programs that, I mean, in my opinion, are huge programs in college basketball and just in basketball in general. But the fact that they don't talk about those games and they're not in a month that really matters, I don't know.
It's very.
I wish it was in February in the middle of conference play and they just had to play each other.
Yeah,
and then I would watch it and it would be awesome.
Or you had, the problem is Purdue and IU being in the same conference, because the best way to do it is to make it a tournament, like a 2-day thing. But Purdue and IU can't play because they're in the same conference. But you're kind of not wrong. Like the coverage is weird, and they have a weird logo. Like you watch the game and you see the logo on the field.
You don't really
or
understand
on the floor,
what the whole point is. But then if you start thinking about it, you're like, oh yeah, Butler's Indiana, like private great school. Notre Dame's is private, like bigger. Like I don't know. It feels like you have to almost put the pieces together, but they should just be like, hey, this is Indiana basketball battling it out.
Right. And
there's
no, even the teams that win don't have like we're the best team in Indiana now. Because I guess there's 2 winners. I don't know. And by the way, Ball State's beating everybody. So that doesn't help anything.
Poor Fort Wayne.
Yeah, Fort Wayne plays Indiana tonight. Hopefully, I'm saying semi-nice things about Indiana. Hopefully, these aren't proven false. Like,
hold your breath, folks.
Hold my breath. By the time we publish the pod, Fort Wayne's going to be up 20 on IU. Mike Bray's my good guy of the week. I Notre Dame. I really don't think that Notre Dame is. I'm not panicking about Notre Dame. I would say Notre Dame is who we thought they were. We didn't expect them to be that great this year. They win Maui. They get pushed to the moon. And you and I said it when it happened. Like, this team is not the 5th best team in the country. This is ridiculous. This is the Maui bump.
But it's actually just cool for Farrell, Colson, and Pfluger to like 10 years from now when their kids or whatever ask them, they're like, we were ranked number 5 in the nation. We won the Maui Invitational. That's the stories that they have.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not. It's not like what's wrong. To me, there's nothing wrong with Notre Dame. They have obvious flaws. They've had obvious flaws all year. They just they got the Maui bump, got a little overrated. Now they're going to be back. This is where they belong. They belong as like the 18th best team in the country. So
and they upset like the number 3 team. Yeah,
they'll chip their way back up. They'll fluctuate. They'll do the old Cincinnati Xavier thing where they're late teens, early 20s type situation. So yeah, that's it. How about your bad guy?
Bad guy of the week, and this is a little off center for what we usually do with these bad guys. Usually it's guys like that are dropping the bags in the college basketball ranks. A Bryce Drew, a Scott Drew, any Drew really. But this is going to be a George, and that George is George Clooney.
Oh, I saw this. I saw this story.
I don't know if everyone has seen what's going on with George Clooney, but a story comes out. Randy Gerber, who is Mr. Cindy Crawford, for people that don't know this, married to Cindy Crawford. He's talking about George Clooney and how he handles his affairs. They're at a party in 2013, right? 14 of George Clooney's closest friends. So they go over to George Clooney's house, and they have these suitcases, these luggage bags that are all in chairs, and he basically gives this whole spiel about how much he loves them, how much they've all been through together, blah, blah, blah. And you're thinking to yourself, well, that sounds really sweet. There's probably like wine or cheese or some sort of gift in there, Nespresso, whatever Clooney has, that tequila company that he sold for $1 billion. Well, instead, it's $1 million in each bag.
Wait, what?
14
in cash?
In cash, in 20s. And folks, you're thinking to yourself, oh, I mean, it's got to be in hundreds. There's no way you can just stuff a bag through, of $1 million that's $14 million. How does that happen? No, George Clooney, bad guy of the week, $14 million in 20s, take it all. And he says, this is for you guys. This is just gratitude.
So one, I have a lot of things I want to bring up. Number one, so one of the guys that got $1 million in cash is married to Cindy Crawford.
And he's a part of the Gerber family.
Unbelievable.
So I don't think he needs that million.
The Gerber, like the baby food?
Yeah. Like the baby, everything. They're basically the baby.
What?
Yes. He might have even been the baby.
Ridiculous.
I don't even know.
So he got $1 million. He just probably wiped his ass with it and was like, I don't need this.
And this is what George Clooney, this is the quote that Clooney said. He said, you don't have to worry about your kids. You don't have to worry about school. You don't have to worry about paying your mortgage. If I'm Gerber, I'm like, I wasn't worried about any of that. Like,
right.
Now I'm just weirded out because now I got to get you a gift that's better than a duffel bag of $1 million.
This is literally, but yeah, this is a great pick for bad guy, even though it's not college basketball, and we try to stick to college basketball. I mean, this is literally the bag situation. He's filling a bag full of cash and dropping it for.
If I'm UCLA, amazing. I'm calling George Clooney right now and saying, hey,
yeah, we need you.
We need you.
My second thought is the 20s make it look thicker. I think that's the thought behind it. You get 100s, you get smaller stacks. You get 20s, you get bigger stacks. But it's $1 million. There's no need. So he pulls out $14 million of 20s.
Yes.
How many 20s is that? That's 14 times 5, carry the 20, and then like 70 million? 70 million? 70 divided by, I don't know. A lot.
I am not good at math, so I'm going to sit there and let you have that one.
How many? So he goes to a bank and says, "I need this." How do you even do that? Like, if Tate, if you right now wanted to pull out $1 million in 20s, how do you go about it?
You call Bill Simmons, go to the bank, figure out what.
So, like, how does it? I mean, how do you even get that much money? How are you?
I would have to be in a hostage situation at that point to get it out. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know how that works.
I'm not saying Clooney doesn't have access to that money. Like, obviously, the man is wealthy. I'm saying, like,
look at that Nespresso commercial.
How do you freaking? And it reminds me of. I'm not going to name names. In my younger years, I went to a certain adult establishment with a certain friend of mine. We'll call him. And it was late at night. We had a few drinks. We had a cab drop us off by an ATM. And a certain friend of mine who makes decent money went to the ATM and he punches in his stuff. And then he turns to me and he's like, or there's like another ATM or somehow some situation. He turns to whoever's behind him. We were with a few friends and he says, "Don't even bother. I'm going to take out every dollar that they have in this thing." And I started laughing, and then I watched him take out every single dollar out of that ATM until the ATM was like, "We're out of money. I'm sorry." And he has this huge stack of bills. And then we went to a certain establishment and tipped well at the establishment, as we will say. Yeah,
you must have had some great coffee.
This was years ago. Statute of limitations for those who want to cast aspersions. But yeah, this is what this story reminds me of. Is like I don't know. I was thinking like. I've seen what it looks like to tap a bank dry, and it was not $14 million in 20s. So, like, how do you even get that?
Think about George Clooney coming in with his gray hair, 14 luggage bags, and saying to you as a bank teller, I'm going to need $14 million.
That's awesome.
I mean, there's no way that the bank has that together. So
I'm going to go off the radar with my bad guy of the week as well. And this is a little less relatable to the people listening, because I think the people listening kind of knew your story, kind of like they probably saw that out there in the ether on the internet. I saw it before you brought it up. People do not know about this UCLA woman at the game that I sat in front of, and
her nickname is UCLA-Lady.
UCLA-Lady, yes.
Yes.
My bag man, bag guy, bag lady of the week is a woman. So Tate and I went to the UCLA game. We got press passes, so we didn't actually have seats. Yeah, not to brag. We didn't actually have seats. We did the classic veteran press move where you're like, when you're really one of the guys, like you're not actually covering the game. You did, like Whitlock and Coward did this as well. So you see, this is like a savvy move.
Yeah, just pop in, take a seat.
What the nerds do is they go sit in press row, but the real, like one of the guys, you go pick a seat. So Tate and I find some seats that are empty. We go sit down. A lady sitting behind us taps me on the shoulder and goes, "You have to get out of those." I was like, "What? I'm sorry." There's like, mind you, there's like a whole row.
The whole row is empty.
Whole
folks.
row is empty.
Yes,
because it's, we were just like, yeah, it's UCLA. The fans don't care. It's a half full arena. Who cares?
And we had walked up from the court. So at least like, it's not like we just like walked down and we're just randos. We had walked up from the court.
We had been watching most of the game, or however much, sitting, just basically standing by the court. And then we're like, yeah, let's go sit down. So we go sit down. This lady's like, "You have to get out of there. Those are my seats." And I'm like, "What?"
As if you were scum that just wandered into the arena somehow. Yes.
And I said, "I'm sorry, what?" And she goes, "Yeah, I bought those seats. You can't sit there. If you sit there, I can't see the floor." So I move like literally one seat over.
And this is stadium seating, folks.
Yeah.
There's an incline. She can still see.
I move one seat over, and then I start just kind of dissecting what happened. And it hit me that this woman has bought season tickets to UCLA basketball and bought the seats that she was with like 4 or 5 people. She bought those seats. Then she bought the row ahead of her as well, so that she could then leave the row ahead of her empty and she could see the game, because she's like kind of a smaller woman. That is a bad guy. That is a woman that is dropping the bag for Steve Offer out there. I mean, you have to be absolutely loaded to buy basically a burner seat. You're like, it wasn't even just one seat; it was a whole goddamn row. She's like, "I'm buying the whole row." That is like,
we didn't even ask her name. Bad guy move. It'd be great if she was like, "I am Denise Gilbert."
Yeah,
you're like, whoa, wait a second.
We need to have her on the pod.
Yes,
I want to interview that woman.
lady.
So I again, not a super relatable story for those who weren't there, but
I've never seen anything like it.
Anything like that in my life. It was. I respected the hell out of the move.
And meanwhile, they're sitting behind us, and they're so negative about UCLA. The team, it's they're the classic, like, I don't even want to get my hopes up. This team is so bad, blah, blah, blah. They cut it to 10 finally. They finally like give like a little bit of sign that they're back in it.
No, one of the guys behind us said verbatim, he's like, "I'll start caring if we cut it to 10. And then as soon as they cut it to 10, he starts clapping again.
And then I think UCLA came down and hit a 3, and it was back to being over.
I don't know, they were into it more than some of the other fans. But yeah, that move is like an all-time booster, just bad guy move. I was loving it. Like, I was kind of pissed because she was sort of an asshole to me. Like, didn't ask me nicely. It was like, "Get the hell out of my seat."
It was a hard tap too.
Yeah, but at the same time,
the teacher tap.
As a man who's seen a bad guy or two in my day, I respected the hell out of the move. So that's my pick.
UCLA, good for her.
Yeah, we have some honorable mention bad guys, by the way. And we were putting our list together, and we realized that our list, we didn't mean to do this, but we were just throwing out names of like who the best bad guys are from this past week, and all 3 of them are Millers, and we decided that this would be a great opportunity to do a Miller Time segment.
It's Miller Time,
and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a Miller Time segment, and this Miller Time segment is brought to you by Arizona Iced Tea, Tate.
Wow.
Tea that comes in a can. Since 1992, Arizona Iced Tea has been brewed here at home in the heart of Arizona, New York City. Whether your drink of choice is the Mucho Mango Madness, the Arnold Palmer Light, or that one flavor your uncle always buys so you can use the can as a spit cup, there's peace of mind in knowing that 23 ounces of Arizona will always be just 99 cents. And now for the holiday season, Arizona Iced Tea is introducing Peppermint Duffel, a brand new flavor exclusively for One Shining podcast listeners. Just go to ArizonaIcedTea.com and enter promo code. That's promocode.com with promo code. Arizona Iced Tea. It's Miller Time.
It's Miller Time.
That's right. It is Miller Time, Tate. So let's talk about the other candidates we had this week for bad guy. Which Miller you want to start with?
First up, let's start with Wes Miller.
Ooh. Okay.
And people will
I
not.
see this.
People were shocked to hear this. They're thinking to themselves, Wes Miller, wasn't that the white guy that shot threes
How
in
is he
Carolina in
related
2006?
to Sean and Archie? And is he Calipari's cousin too?
No, folks. He's
The
not.
answer is no.
No. But he did get an ACC win this weekend against NC State Saturday night. Wes Miller, and basically the main thing, the reason he's a bad guy is because of his dance moves. That's all that matters. They win this game. UNCG beats the ACC opponent for like the first time in 71 games that they've played the ACC.
Let me stop you there. Do we
Yes.
still love Kevin Keats?
Yes.
We still love. Okay,
We still
go
love
ahead.
Kevin Keats. Nothing has changed. I will say this. Kevin Keats, and I don't know if you're listening, but if you are, Sidney Lowe made the red jacket not good. You don't need the red jacket.
He stained the red jacket.
He is now back on the, like Gottfried wore the red jacket, and we're all kind of like, that's weird, that's strange, that's Sidney Lowe's thing. You don't need the red jacket to coach NC State. I know they're going to pressure you into it. You don't need it, Kevin Keats. You're a classy man. You don't need the red jacket.
What I would do is the white. I would do the patina thing. I would wear white if I
The
was him.
all
With
cream
red,
suit
with red accents.
a red tie, a power tie,
Yeah.
slick your hair back.
Yeah,
Come
that's
on.
what I would do.
Kevin
That's what I
Keats,
would
that's easy, and he's a
You know what
Patino
else?
man.
Here's how else I fix NC State. Have they leaned into the? I know they have it on their court. The Wolfpack with like the sailor hat.
Mm-hmm.
I brought this up to you the other day. I am such a sucker for the all the college logos. There's like an era. I forget what era this was, like 60s, 70s, whatever.
70s probably.
Where every single college had like their mascot wearing like a sailor hat.
As if they all went like
then
on some sort of sabbatical
Carolina
overseas.
has the one where they got the ram with the
ram
little
though,
sailor
yeah.
hat. BYU has one. I know. NC State. I love that logo. Have they made that like their logo? Because I still see like the big S with like the N and the C kind of.
Well,
that's
I mean,
terrible.
they're-
They need to lean into the Wolfpack logo.
They're
Anyway.
at an identity crisis at all times at NC State. Let's be honest. They're still trying to figure it out. And Pack Pride this weekend, if you went, boy, was it a fun ride. You should check it out. Wes Miller, though, he gets the honorable mention for Bad Guy of the Week. He comes in the locker room after they win, does his whole dance. You go check it out. It's on UNCG's, UNC Greensboro's Twitter feed. And he basically he stole it from Roy Williams. Roy Williams is the king of running the locker room and like leaning down, doing the and then they start dancing, blah, blah, blah. Wes Miller has pulled that same move.
Yeah, it's always interesting how Roy Williams like has vertigo and he's always lightheaded, but then anytime he gets a big
he's
win,
like jumping up and down.
he's doing a mosh pit. Huh, interesting. That's weird. But when they're losing, he's like collapses on the sideline.
Yeah,
He's like
grabbing his left knee. It's tough. It's tough out there.
Interesting.
But
then
Miller.
We have the brothers Miller. I
Yes.
mean, Archie beat Notre Dame. It was a program win, as we say. That's become one of my favorite things. I saw this when Rutgers. I think Jeff Goodman brought this back into my life. I saw Rutgers beat Seton Hall, and Jeff Goodman called it a program win.
Mm-hmm.
And I started scratching my head. I was like, "What the hell is a program win?" And then you realize, and you see like other people talk about it, and it's
It's
basically
like a win to point to be like, look, we did something relevant.
Yeah, it's like we're back. It's the it's the we're back win is pretty much what the program win is. So I think this was Archie's program win, which like sad state of affairs of beating Notre Dame in a game that you're getting blown
If you
out
told
the
someone
way
in 1986 that beating Notre Dame would be a program win for Indiana basketball, they would have asked you what Kelvin Sampson did.
It takes me back to when the Watford shot happened when IU beat Kentucky.
Oh, yeah, in 2012.
And then the we're back thing. Like
Oh.
I remember my dad, who our dads are kind of similar as we've talked about, where they're old school and they hate everything. And I remember my
They
dad
antagonize themselves.
My
yes.
dad, like we beat Kentucky. Indiana beat Kentucky, and the whole university just has this like we're back thing because they'd come back from the depths of the Kelvin Sampson thing.
Crean
and, like,
with the
we're
fist pump.
and they're putting out shirts that said we're back, and my dad's like, we're not back till we win another banner. This doesn't mean shit. November,
it's about banners.
banners. God damn it. We ain't back yet. And like he always said, you get all grumpy about that. That's what this reminds me of. Is like
It's
not-
the regular season, folks.
yeah. But this is the program win for Archie. So Archie, they got blown out by Indiana State. Started out a little dicey, but Indiana is slowly figuring it out. Juwan Morgan's really good. You know who Indiana could use? James Blackman. He'd be a senior right now, Tate. That one hurts.
He's on the Sixers, right?
I don't know if you want to call them the 87ers, I think is what
the Delaware 87ers? Yeah, something like that.
And then Archie's brother, Sean, Arizona, figuring it out. They are figuring it out.
They've won 5 straight since going 0-3. They've beaten Texas A&M, Alabama, and UNLV, a team that we have not talked about. But if you've ever heard someone at a UNLV chant "Rebels, Rebels," it'll haunt you for the rest of your life. I've been there. It was terrible. They beat Carolina when I was there. Those are 3 big wins.
I think I'm going to keep saying this because it's going to keep being true. Arizona is is not a team to be taken lightly.
They're at 19
very,
now,
very
and
good.
they're moving back up. Yeah.
They are very, very good. And I hate to break it to all the people that were very excited to see Arizona go away. They're not going away. They're going to be good. They're probably going to win the Pac-12. The game against Arizona State coming up, December 30th. I don't know if that's their first Pac-12 game. If
yes.
That's is it the opener?
Yeah, I think it's the opener.
Zach Schwartz, one of our social media guys, said here at the Ringer, he's an Arizona State guy, and he's telling me like they haven't won in Tucson. The Sun Devils haven't won in Tucson in like 60. That's like everything with Arizona State. He said they haven't won since like the 80s or something or 90s in Tucson.
Well, they'll be waiting another year.
But that's what happens when like that's part of the fun thing about Arizona State is all these
everything's historic now.
Everything's historic. Yeah. It's the new Northwestern.
Well, it's like South Carolina too last year. It was like everything that they did last year in the tournament. It was like this hasn't happened since 1948. Yep. It's like, well, maybe we should just be like, this is the first time it's happened.
Arizona State's gonna be a big game. I'm excited for, as someone who believes, and I don't hate Arizona State. I think they're good. I just like.
Yeah, a lot of people think that we don't like Arizona State.
We like it. Well, I want them to do well.
First
you
of
have
all,
nothing against Bobby Hurley. Hurley, because let's be clear. Bobby Hurley
is a Duke defector.
Yes,
at
he's
heart.
A defector.
He's for his dad.
He's his dad's disciple. He is not a Coach K disciple.
Yes.
So Tate, you understand this.
All that being said, the reason that I like Arizona State, and I think we both like Arizona State, is because they basically just shoot threes and make layups. It's like Houston Rockets basketball. They just play the percentages, and that's fun to watch.
It's fun. I've
they
always
have great
said
guards.
Very fun to watch. The issue is not whether it's fun to watch. The issue is whether it's sustainable.
Big men, and they're going to play DeAndre Ayton, who's possibly the number one pick.
That's the concern. So I mean, like if Arizona State wins, I'm not gonna. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. I don't care.
You think Herm Edwards is going to be happy?
But
yes.
I get the feeling that that's going to be like a big game in Arizona, and then that's going to be the moment where everyone's like, "Oh shit, Arizona's back." Whoops.
But so we're telling you now they're back.
Let's talk about your team.
Yeah.
You don't like talking about your team, as we know on the pod. But I want to introduce this. I wanted to be the guy that says, let's talk about North Carolina, so that way you don't get any shit for this. Because we watched the North Carolina-Tennessee game together.
Yes.
As I said, I bit my lip. So thoughts and prayers to me for that. But I was at your place watching the game. You're getting into it. The vibe I got from you was that you felt like Carolina did not play well at all.
No.
And stole the win at the end. And that's kind of how I felt. So
well, that's exactly what happened. I mean, they were down the entire game. I think it came out at the end. They were down 37-15 of the entire game to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Barnes and Roy Williams had this weird rapport where Rick Barnes somehow usually outcoaches Roy Williams whenever they play each other. It's like this weird thing that, because Rick Barnes is from North Carolina, Roy's from North Carolina, whatever
What's
it is.
the story with, tell the people the story of with Dean Smith, by the way.
Oh, yeah. So every single time that they do any sort of Rick Barnes versus North Carolina, they're going to tell a story of, in 1990, I think it's 97 or 98, Rick Barnes in the ACC tournament at Clemson. He basically gets up in Dean Smith's face. Who is the nicest man? It had to be 97. So it's in 97. So he gets up in his face and is basically like trying to sun him and be like, "What? This is Clemson basketball." He's basically trying to make a statement for like Clemson's here
trying to get
against
his
the big boys.
The program win.
So I'm trying to get a program win. And Dean was not about that at all. A lot of people have speculated that Rick Barnes, his greatest goal and dream was to coach North Carolina because he was from North Carolina. Like most people from North Carolina. So it was this whole thing. So they always bring up that story. All that is to be said. Roy Williams actually outcoached Rick Barnes for the first time in this game, and he did one thing. At the end of the game, it's 70-69. Tennessee has the lead. North Carolina has the ball. They run this little like hedge screen at the top. Kenny Williams gets the ball. He shoots a three, 72-70. Kenny Williams not getting enough credit for how great he's been this season for Carolina.
He's been good.
It was an unbelievable shot. So they take the lead. They do the replay review. And before all that happened, Roy Williams decides to press, which he never does for whatever reason in the regular season. But he presses, traps. Tennessee turns the ball over. They get the ball back. Kenny Williams hits the three. So Roy Williams did one thing to actually outcoach Rick Barnes. He gets the win. To Tennessee fans, they've been going at Carolina the whole night, and they just completely.
I don't understand it because I saw this from North Carolina Twitter.
Yeah.
If such a thing exists as North Carolina basketball Twitter.
Oh, it exists.
I saw like people sort of, I don't know if complaining is the word, but just mentioning how Tennessee fans were heckling the players. And I mean, is North Carolina soft, Tate? Is that what I'm learning? Like you're complaining about fans heckling the defending national champ. Like, I don't know. Of course, like, you think that's news? You think this doesn't happen everywhere?
Tennessee has a very weird relationship with the state of North Carolina. So, like, I went to the Music City Bowl in Nashville in 2010 when North Carolina played Tennessee. They went to overtime. I had people throwing beer bottles from above me, Tennessee fans, me and my brother, and we leave the game. We're getting threatened and all this stuff. And this guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, you want to know something?" North Carolina won the game, so I'm excited. My brother's excited. We're walking out. He said, "You want to know something? I'd take 1 Tennessean over 10 North Carolinians," as if that was supposed to upset me or make me alarmed. I was like, well, I probably would too. You guys like to volunteer. Volunteers are great in society. He didn't get the reference. I was like, how do you not know your mascot or understand that? So Tennessee has this weird hatred for North Carolina. It definitely showed when you're there in Rocky Top, and it came out. And I think they were saying some harsh things to our team. But props to Carolina. Great game for them.
So they were saying mean things. That's
let's be honest. By mean, we mean on the line.
So the takeaway is that a lot of people took away from this game. North Carolina didn't play well. They still gutted out a win. Tennessee is a good team.
Yes. Tennessee is really good.
Tennessee might be like the biggest surprise of the season. And I guess Arizona State would be the biggest surprise of the season so far. But Tennessee was supposed to be terrible, kind of. And
Rick Barnes has done a great job.
He's a
potential bad guy of the week.
Yeah. So Tennessee has a good team, and I saw a lot of people take away like this is a great win for Carolina because they kind of gutted it out and stole the win. Do you feel that way? Is there like any positive for this? Because my one takeaway is Carolina sort of has a Theo Pinson problem. He reminds me. I said this to you. He reminds me of like JT Barrett at Ohio State, where
I love this cross sport.
I know cross sport, but these are like the vibes I got because the thing with JT Barrett as an Ohio State quarterback is people are like, he can't throw the ball. He's a quarterback who can't throw. How can he possibly play quarterback? And then you can't bench the guy. I mean, he's been there for 4 years. He's the leader of the team. He has all the intangibles. He does
all the little things.
He's the glue guy, the X factor, et cetera, et cetera. And you can't really get rid of him. But at the same time, it's like, God, he can't really throw. That's how I feel about Theo Pinson. Is like
he can't really shoot.
He can't shoot for shit.
Yeah,
and
except free throws.
So you're thinking like just take him out, but you can't really take him out, and you're kind of just stuck in this situation where he has to play like 30 minutes a game, and I don't know. Like this game, by the way, he kind of flirted with a triple double. He had like 7, 9, and 8, I think.
Well, he's actually better when he's the point guard. Right? So, like, he's better when they give him the ball to basically be like, you have to distribute to everyone else. I mean, even the Luke May shot against Kentucky, that play never happens without Theo Pinson. And let me tell you, as it was happening, I was like, no, please God, pass it. Please God, pass it. I mean, he made that whole play happen. That's what he does. He distributes to everyone else.
North Carolina is like one of the few places that Theo Pinson could have had a great career. Like, just the style of play. Michigan State's another. We always bring
it's all up and down. It's basically, if it's a fast break offense, yes.
Yeah. But he has a stretches where he looks good, and then he looks very, very bad, and then he can dunk on people, he can like penetrate, but he can't. When he gets wide open, like Roy needs to tell him you can't shoot threes, just no matter what, because when he gets wide open, he's like, oh, I'm open, I should shoot this, but you're open for a reason. And I think the reason is you can't shoot for shit.
In his head, he's thinking to himself, like, I have to keep the defense honest and I have to take this shot. But he also takes advantage of that because, like, it's like, whoa, they swung it to me. And it's like, no, well, you could have swung it to Kenny. You could have kept just swinging around the perimeter and maybe someone else.
And
he
open. Doesn't just miss bad. He misses, like.
Some of it's like slap the backboard misses. Like, where you're just shocked that it hit the side of the backboard.
So Carolina's ranked what now? 5th?
5, yeah.
5th? Does that feel too high to you? Does that feel. You're not worried about the pressure. You're not worried about entering ACC play. Is like, are they the?
Oh, I could see them losing 2 or 3 ACC games early, but I will say that this team is the perfect North Carolina team to make the Final Four and to not win it. Like they're not a title. They're a team that will get to the Final Four and maybe not win a title.
I was doing the NIT thing with you at the start of the season.
You loved it.
I was having fun with it because I wasn't sure if I really believed it, but I really did have concerns about Carolina's scoring, their shooting. I looked at the roster. I said, Joel Berry can score. He can shoot. Who else? What else do they have?
You forgot about Kenny and Luke.
Kenny stepped up. Well, because Kenny, he was injured for most of last year. He was injured last year,
yeah.
But even then, like even when he wasn't injured, it wasn't like he was lighting up the. I mean,
he had literally one game last year where he had 20 points, and that was in December. It was like December 15th, and everyone was like, "Oh wait, this guy's kind of good."
Yeah. Luke May's been playing well.
But even Luke in that game got exposed. When he plays against athletic bigs, he looks terrible.
Yeah.
He turned it around in the second half. Sterling Manley's really the guy.
Sterling Manley is a different.
That guy's an NBA player, and he can't play until he passes a conditioning test. And I'll put it back out there. I want to race him. I want to beat him in the test. Someone make that happen.
Sterling Manley is the X factor of the team, and Theo Pinson's the glue guy. And Theo thinks he's the glue guy, or thinks he's the X factor. I'm sorry, I get confused.
Theo Pinson thinks he's the star.
That is true. He doesn't think he's the X factor. He's like, I'm the guy. I am the star. Speaking of stars, how about Trae Young?
The national player of the year.
He's the national player of the year.
Yes.
I will not tolerate. So to me, it's Trae Young is very clearly number one. Marvin Bagley is very clearly number two. And then everyone else, I don't even care. It doesn't even matter what order you put them in. But Trae Young, so Oklahoma goes to Wichita, beats Wichita State by 8, I think. Beat them by 8. They hang 91 points on Wichita State's Play Angry whole thing in front of the 80-year-olds in Wichita that go to those games. Trae Young's incredible. I don't even know what else to say. He is must-watch TV. I was watching the game, kind of screwing around on my phone because I'm an idiot and I have terrible attention span because that's how I was raised.
Do.
Yeah, I was raised with 2 screens in front of my face at all times. So I'm kind of like browsing Twitter as I'm watching the game, and then I catch myself thinking like I can't do that. I got to put my phone down and I have to watch Trae Young because like I missed one of his insane threes. I had to rewind it.
Over Shaq.
And that, the one over Shaq.
That was unbelievable.
And I hear Tom Crean was announcer, by the way. Love Tom Crean.
He takes threes that like when it hits the net, it's like, it's like perfect. There's no run. It doesn't even touch the rim.
That has become my test for how good I think a player is when I catch myself like I got to put my phone. I got to watch every second of this game because I have no idea when something good is going to happen. When something just completely wild
is it the
happen.
Steph Curry syndrome? Is that why he's getting
kind
compared
of,
to Steph?
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, that's part of what it is. Like he's a good shooter, and every good shooter gets compared to Steph Curry now. That's how it works.
Which is disgusting.
But Trae Young actually,
Mark Price. He reminds me of Mark Price.
Too soon, dude. He was just a good guy.
Yeah, Mark Price was the honorable mention good guy of the week, we should say.
Yeah, but Trae Young actually has the Steph Curry thing because he's a little undersized, but not really. Like he's actually what, like 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah, and his arms are
but everyone
very
pretends
long.
like he's 5'9". He shoots just incredible. Why would you ever take that shot?
Bombs, like Buddy Hield bombs.
It looks so easy and effortless for him. And it's and people make the mistake of thinking he's just a shooter. That was like the thing with Steph is that you've never really seen anybody like him before, and you're like, oh well, his shtick is just his game is just bombing threes, and you thought he was like a Jimmer Fredette type. I mean, I know he came before Jimmer, but you thought that was like kind of his game. It's like he's just gonna sit out there in 40 feet and throw up threes. You forgot like he has a handle, he has like vision.
Meanwhile, he's doing like up and under, switching hands like layups.
Yeah, you forget that like. What makes Steph Curry so good is that part of the game on top of the shooting
and the vision and all
the
that
same
other
is
stuff.
true of Trae Young. Like he's what, like first or second in the country in assists per game?
Is second in the country, 8.9 assists per game.
Yeah,
he's averaging 28.8 points per game. The next closest guy is Matt Scott for Niagara, averaging 24.9 points per game. So his average is 4 points more than the next person in the entire country. That's insane.
It's very good. And it's like effortless too. It's
It doesn't feel like he's like taking over. Like not about like taking over. It doesn't feel like it's his game, right? Like it feels like it's in the flow of the game that it's.
You don't get the moment like, oh shit, this guy's in the zone.
Yeah,
because he's always in the zone. That's just what he does. It's incredible. He is must-watch TV. If you're listening to our pod and you're not really into college basketball and you're just kind of you think Tate and I are just two awesome guys that you love hearing talk about stuff, and that's why you tune in every.
Then I say
every
thank
show.
you, Mom.
Yeah, thank you, Mom. Here's my advice to you: get an alert on your phone to say when Oklahoma is going to play, so it buzzes you 10 hours before tip off, and watch every Oklahoma game. I would say that is like priority one if you're not really into college basketball but you want to sort of watch college basketball. Trae Young is the most must-see TV player in this country, and I probably won't miss another Oklahoma game.
And guess what? He's going to be the point guard of the Los Angeles Clippers.
Interesting.
Putting it out there. I see Blake Griffin liking all of his stuff every time. I'm just like, this guy's going to end up on the Clippers.
By the way, he hit. Do you know what a Sham God move is?
Yeah,
do you know
of course.
Okay, this is a test.
Shout out to Sham God, who coaches on the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
He's working with my boy Dennis Smith Jr. every single day. Shout out Sham God.
So Trae Young hit Sham it with the Sham God, which sounds pretty cool. Hit him with the Sham. He hit a full speed Sham God after McNeese, the big dude on Oklahoma. I want to give him a shout out as well. Yeah. He had I don't know if you saw this. He had a block during the game where he jumped up and just caught it like it was a rebound.
I love
like
those.
A guy
those are the best.
Dude tries to shoot it instead of hitting it into the fifth row. He's
That's
just like, no, let's grab it.
That's what the old school coaches would say, like when you would swat a block. They're like, just catch the ball.
So McNeese, I think, pins to somebody on the glass, throws it to Trae Young, and in transition hits Sham with the Sham God, and I think he missed the runner, but like it was pretty nasty. And so all of you listening, if you don't know what a Sham God is, the reason I bring it up, Sham God is like become the it's sort of, I don't even know what the analogy is, but like if you can identify a Sham God, like that gets you in basketball circles.
Oh.
You're a basketball guy now. You can know like jack shit about basketball. You could go to any park in the country, in any city, and then if you can identify the Sham God and see it happen, just cover your mouth, start pumping your fists, and like, oh,
like you just fall down,
and then you're like, he hit him with the Sham God, and everyone's like, damn, that dude knows basketball. And
but you know what's funny though, because
that's
like,
my little secret.
Well, Chris Paul used to do the Sham God all the time when he was on New Orleans, like in the Pelicans, like 2006 and stuff. He would do it all the time, and no one would say anything.
Right.
But like somehow it's like come back to being cool again.
Because it's like the
Sham God. It's like Chris Paul's been doing it for 8 years. Like,
I'm trying to think of what an analogy would be where you could fake. That's my secret to like faking a conversation with someone. If you catch yourself at like a cocktail party and people are talking basketball, and then I don't know.
If you can bring up anyone from the AN1 mixtape tour, if you're like, man, hot sauce handles, and people are like, oh, hot sauce.
Say here's the thing. Call Trae Young like Steph Curry with the Sham God.
Ooh.
If you say that, if you're at a party and people are like, oh man, I really like Marvin Bagley. I like Colin Sexton. And you should be like, oh man, I like that Trae Young guy. And they're like, why do you like him? You're like, dude, he's like Steph Curry with the Sham God, dude. And then every single person would be like, oh shit,
yeah,
this
people
guy
will
knows
fall
basketball.
out of their chair.
This guy knows basketball. By the way, the Sham God, we haven't even like explained it. It's like how would you even describe it? Like a backhanded crossover?
It's basically acting like you're going to throw the ball up, but you're not. Like it's it's
just look it up, just Google it. But yeah, I saw him bust that out, and it made me laugh because
it's the number one play to make someone fall down, like in front of you, basically, and then you can point at them, and then you can drain a three in their face. The Randolph Childress.
So Trae Young, 29-10 against Wichita State. For being out on Wichita State and being done with Wichita State, it sounds like you know a lot about what happened in this game, Tate. Were you watching the game?
No, only Oklahoma. Oklahoma was playing a team. Yeah, they were playing a no-name team. I have no idea. They were playing some mid-major team.
You had producer Kyle scrub the footage, like just Photoshop the Wichita State players out of the game, and you just watched Oklahoma play 5-0.
You know, like the NCAA basketball games, where they just had like the made-up computer-animated players that had no names. That's who I was watching. He filled it in like that.
Tom Crean called the game. I think I mentioned this earlier. Yeah. Love to see him on TV. I was a very big Tom Crean critic for years when he was coaching IU. I'm excited. First of all, he's really good at TV, but he's not going to stick with TV. This man wants to get back into coaching, and I think he's going to end up at UConn, Tate. I'm just throwing that out there now. I just want to be on record right now. I'm going to say he's working for ESPN. He's building his roots, digging his roots in Connecticut right now via ESPN. I think that's where he ends up. I think Ollie's gone after this year, and Tom Crean goes to UConn. Which, by the way, I think that'd be a great
Kevin
job.
Ollie won a title.
I think that would be a great job for Crean, by the way. I actually like the reason I always said I don't hate Crean because I think he's a terrible coach. I was mad because I felt like Indiana should be just the premier cream of the crop because I'm a delusional Indiana fan, and Tom Crean is just he's an A-, B+.
I want Billy Donovan to go to UConn.
That's not happening. Get out of here.
You hear that, Billy? Leave Oklahoma.
How about some shout-outs?
Yeah.
I want to start with
please.
Kentucky.
Yes.
We have been hard on Kentucky. Hard on? We have said that Kentucky is not good this year because they really haven't. First of all, they haven't played a great schedule. Secondly, they've looked very sloppy. They're it's a team full of these kids. Cal's trying to teach these kids. Cal has completely disappeared. No one's seen him. He's not popping up on podcasts. He's not popping up on ESPN doing hits after games anymore. He knows his team's not very good.
We're going to know they're really bad if we see him on FS1.
When Cal's on FS1. But they did beat Virginia Tech. Didn't play great defense, but Virginia Tech has a great offense. Virginia Tech has the highest scoring offense in the country. Buzz Williams
has a great haircut. We haven't mentioned that. So that's my shout out, Buzz Williams' haircut.
Absolutely shocking that he was shaving his head all these years and he didn't need to be.
There's no way that's true.
But Kentucky, I got to give a shout out to them. This was a good opponent that they played. They played pretty well. They had someone other than Kevin Knox played well. Diallo had a good game.
Yep.
Amadou. I want to shout out Kentucky. I want to be fair and balanced journalism here. So you play well. I'll give you a shout out.
And I'm going to shout out Quade Green. He had sunglasses on. The first player I've ever seen wear sunglasses in an actual basketball game.
They weren't just sunglasses. They were like
Rec Specs, right?
Bret Hart.
Yeah, I've never seen. They look like Oakley sponsored Kentucky.
Yeah,
we're not sure if Oakley dropped a bag, but they may have, or some Maui Gin. Someone dropped a bag for them with the sunglasses.
I should have started with this guy.
Yeah, you love him. I know. It's on our list.
Buzzcut Brad.
Yes.
We didn't do a show on Friday. We were going on Friday. As we were playing in the show, we ended up not doing a show for like scheduling. It was a whole thing. But as we were planning for the show on Friday, our number one topic that we were going to lead off the show with was Buzzcut Brad. For those who don't know, there's a kid that plays for Wisconsin. We call him Buzzcut Brad. He's bringing the Buzzcut back to Madison. He is a parody. That's the only way I can describe him. He's Aaron Kraft, J.J. Watt, every Wisconsin player you've ever met in your life rolled into one. He rolls his waistband over on his shorts. And against Western Kentucky, Wisconsin, the game was tied, right?
Yes.
With 2 seconds left, Wisconsin has to go the length of the floor. Buzzcut Brad goes and sets a screen on the guy guarding the inbounder. Like it was a Christian Laettner versus Kentucky situation where Wisconsin has to throw it, basically baseball pass it down to the other end. Rick Stansberry, big time bad guy, puts a defender on the guy throwing the ball out of bounds. So Buzzcut Brad goes to set the screen and flops, gets a foul called, hits a free throw to win the game for Wisconsin, and it sent Twitter into a frenzy. It was the most perfect. The exact definition of Buzzcut Brad doing Buzzcut Brad things. If you want to use that phrase, I make fun of it a lot where people say blank was doing blank things.
Yes.
This is the most appropriate time to ever use that.
It checks
phrase.
out this time.
It checks out. Buzzcut Brad doing Buzzcut Brad things was this play.
And we should give Will Wade a shout out because he's the man that invented this play. VCU did this last year.
Well, he didn't invent it, but he did do it last year.
Yeah, he drew it up, and it got him a job at LSU, so congrats to Will Wade. Another one, speaking of Wisconsin, Frank the Tank, number 44, getting his jersey retired.
Is he really?
Yeah, Madison, Wisconsin. So congratulations, Frank Kaminsky.
I wonder who else has got their – I wonder, who else?
It's got to be Michael Finley, right?
Yeah, we've had this discussion before, haven't we? Who's the best Wisconsin?
So. It's definitely Michael Finley.
But Alondo Tucker was like first team.
He's up there. What did he wear?
But he
42
wasn't very
or
good.
something?
Yeah, he was 42, but he wasn't good. This is like the hill I'm willing to die on. Is I got so frustrated that Alondo Tucker was not that good. So East Tennessee State gave Xavier a close game.
Yep.
Xavier had to come back.
22 points, right?
So shout out to Kenny Chesney's East Tennessee State for almost having a program win.
Mm-hmm.
That was big for them.
Good for Blewett to bring them back.
Nebraska also almost got a program win against Kansas. Are we done with Kansas?
Boy.
Kansas. If Kansas wins the Big 12 this year,
then the Big 12, you're done. Like we're not talking.
Are you done
about
with the Big 12?
Yeah, I'm not talking about them next year. They're going to be the Wichita State of this podcast. If they let Kansas win it this year with Trae Young and that, I mean, there's a bunch of teams in the Big 12 that should win.
Yeah, West Virginia is very good. By the way,
Carter.
I have them. I want to give West Virginia a shout out. I think a lot of people, myself included, sort of cast them aside after the Texas A&M
and then we've
blowout.
come to find out they're really good.
They haven't lost since. They've been playing really well. Javon Carter's has got it back. Texas A&M also is kind of flying under the radar. Texas A&M's only loss was to Arizona.
Yeah,
they're a very, very good team.
The SEC is really good.
They play great defense. Yeah, but then Gonzaga had a very close call. Needed overtime to beat North Dakota. I wanted to give North Dakota a shout out for an almost program win, which is not quite a program win, but it's almost. Almost, Tate.
Good for Fargo. Good for the state.
What else do we have?
Should we go to closeouts?
You have no more shout outs?
I got no more shout. Well, I got one shout out. I mean, it's
what?
Basically, should we say it?
What?
We were honorable mention most improved, and we don't know.
Oh yeah, we can shout ourselves out.
We're going to shout ourselves out because we don't even know what that means. Some SI column that they write about the media, we don't even know this thing existed. Kevin Clark, a colleague of ours, walks in. He gives us a nice congratulations on being honorable mention most improved. We think he's screwing with us because who would ever say that to someone that's not backhanded or you're trying to make fun of him? But he was being genuine. It was very nice of him to say. We had no idea that this existed. We looked this up. We're honorable mention most improved on an SI media list.
The Deitch.
Deitch, whatever. We should say his name right so we'll stay on these lists. But thanks to whoever made that happen. I think it's a compliment. We're not sure. I think I'm honored. I know I'm honorable mention, but I don't know if I'm
So people
honored.
are going to call you out for humble bragging, and The reason Tate wanted to put this on there because it was absolutely hysterical how Kevin Clark walked in.
We literally thought he was screwing with
for the
us.
pod, and Kevin Clark's like, "Hey guys, congrats on the honorable mention, most improved." We're like, what?
That sounds like an award that we would make up to give to someone. That sounds like a Buzzcut Brad award.
We should do that moving forward on the pod. The honorable mention, most improved player of the
You're
week.
not quite most improved, but at least your honorable mention. It checks out.
Yeah, let's close out with so we had the Ringer holiday party. The world famous Ringer holiday party on Friday. For those who've been listening to the pod, you will know of the ongoing dilemma that producer Kyle faced.
It's a saga.
It was a saga.
Yeah.
Was producer Kyle going to bring one of his friends, use his +1? Was he not? We put a poll on Twitter. Everyone said,
Classic
just
Kyle.
do it. And then in classic Kyle fashion, after we have all of our listeners vote on whether Kyle should use the +1 to bring a friend or not,
They say yes.
They all say yes. They all say it's okay.
It's not a big deal.
Kyle's like, nah, I'm just gonna spit in the face of all the listeners and I'm not gonna bring the +1. That's what he says. And so I can confirm that Kyle showed up alone to the holiday party, and I don't think it would have been that big of a deal.
Not at all.
That's the vibe I got.
And not only that, we found out that other people that were invited to the party brought +1s that were just friends.
Did they really?
Yes, not spouses.
Did we execute them?
No.
Did we throw them in prison?
I mean, not yet.
No, we didn't.
Not yet.
No, we didn't. You know what happened? They probably had a good time, and that was that.
My favorite Kyle moment from the night. I go up to Kyle. The first person I see at the party is Kyle and the degenerate trifecta from Against All Odds. I walk in. Kyle is having a great time. He looks lit. I go, Kyle, what drink is that? What number drink is that? And he goes, number 2. And he winks at me and he goes, here. And I was like, classic Kyle. Classic Kyle.
Yep. So those of you who are following along, we had a very anticlimactic end to our story of I was hoping we got to teach producer Kyle. Like he took away content from us.
Yeah.
I wanted him to bring the +1. I was hoping for an awkward moment where the +1 is a little bit of a loose cannon, is kind
People
of
were like,
abusing
who's
the,
that guy? Yeah.
kind of abusing
Like
the
a
open
wedding
bar.
crasher almost.
And then we could kind of talk about it on the pod, and instead we're kind of boring people saying nothing happened. Thanks, Kyle. Classic Kyle. Classic Kyle move. Also, I regret to inform the listeners, we got Memphis.
We got Memphis.
Tate. I don't know how else to say it. Those of you who listened to the Teed Up, rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Great show that we used to have. You might remember last year.
Was not a golf podcast.
When North Carolina, Kentucky, UCLA, and Butler were all in the same. I was out here in March. They all got put in the same Sweet 16 bracket. North Carolina, Kentucky, and UCLA were like 3 of the top 6 teams probably of the season last year.
And plus Butler, who's just like a great program to have in
Butler's
there.
always a good March Madness team. Tate and I said we were going to go to Memphis for the games. Tate and I did not go to Memphis for the games. And thus Memphis became a verb to us.
And not only that, Luke May hit one of the biggest shots in North Carolina basketball history. And I was not
Tate
there
was not
for
there
it.
to see it. His team goes on to win the national title.
I was there to see that, thank God.
The road trip that we had brought up where North Carolina was playing Ohio State in New Orleans, we got Memphis, Tate. I don't know how else to say it.
You know what it means, and we won't be there.
I regret to inform the people that we got Memphis. That's really all we can say.
But we love the listeners, and we're going to be out on the road, and don't worry, it's going to happen. And when it does happen, it's going to be glorious.
It's
and you guys are going to love it. We're going to love it. We're going to be at dirt bags. We're going to be whatever bag you need. We'll be there. We'll have bags.
I should clarify. I think I'm still doing the road trip because I have to drive home. I'm going home I've been out in LA for 2 months. I'm ready to go back home for the holidays. I'm driving back to Ohio, and I figure why not just take a detour through Arizona, go to New Orleans. I think I still might do it alone, especially because I kind of have worked the Arizona fans into a frenzy that I'm going to dirtbags. They love it when you say dirtbags. I'm going to say it again. I've been to dirtbags. So I think I still might do it, but yeah, we got Memphis, and that's the only way to. But when it does happen, as you said, it's going to taste sweet, almost as sweet as a big tall can of Arizona iced tea.
It's Miller time.
So thank you for listening. We are sorry that we titillated you with the idea of a New Orleans road trip, but we'll be back. We'll figure something out. We also got to figure out a schedule for Christmas. We're not really sure. This is why you have to subscribe.
Tuned. Follow us on Twitter at Tate Frazier. At Club Trillion.
But I promise you this: when I go back to Ohio, we are still going to be churning out pods. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna start doing interviews after Christmas. So please spread the word. We appreciate all of you guys who have been listening, especially the people that have been with us since the Teed Up days. We know that this is not a huge time for college basketball right now. We know that there's juicy football stuff going on. Bowl season's coming around. NBA has been awesome. So for you guys to listen to us talk about college basketball, we understand that it's a sacrifice that some of you have to make, that you don't really like the product, but you enjoy listening to us bullshit with each other. So it really does mean a lot to us. Thank you for listening. Spread the word. Shout us out on Twitter. You're at Tate Frazier.
At Tate Frazier.
I'm at Club Trillion.
And we just did an AMA on Reddit. So if you didn't see that, go check it out.
Go check it out.
We're going to keep it rolling.
A lot of ways to get a hold of us.
More. Yeah.
We love all of you guys. And that's it. So until next time, save the crew.